Hey, this is Kerry, and today I want to talk about the MacBook Pro 13-inch with the M1 chip. This is Apple's newest architecture with their Apple Silicon versus being an Intel chip. Now, for applications that are optimized for the M1, you can see some pretty significant performance improvements. I use DaVinci Resolve for all my video editing, and there is an optimized version for the M1 chip, and it is a night and day difference from my previous MacBook Pro, which I would have to use proxy footage or optimize the footage. With this very inexpensive MacBook Pro, I can edit 4K 10-bit color footage no problem without having to do proxies. So as I got into the Mac Mini M1 before, I started putting out all my videos on my other channels, Trail Traveler and Filmmaker Central, in 4K because I could edit it easily. I really couldn't edit it easily on my other machines, so everything was done in 1080. Now everything is being done in 4K because it's so much easier to work on. Now, the form factor and everything is pretty much identical to my previous MacBook Pro, which was a 2016 model. It only has 16 gigs of RAM, but in my tests with the Mac Mini, it only had 8 gigs of RAM and screamed on doing editing with DaVinci Resolve. Now there's also M1 optimized versions of Photoshop, Lightroom, Final Cut Pro, and other apps are being recompiled for native support on the M1 chip. So it really is an incredible machine, and it takes less RAM to run those things because the whole architecture of the system is different. Now, all these wonderful things about this machine, and I have one complaint, and that is there's only 2 USB ports. On this side, there are none, where my old MacBook Pro had ports on that side. If you're using this as an editing station, you need power, you need hard drive, you may need your backup drive. I typically have a number of things connected. I mean, just in this configuration, I have this monitor set up, I have an external hard drive, I have my Bose speakers set up, I have a hard drive back here. I usually have an SSD hooked up. There's a number of things that I have connected, and I had to get a hub that had multiple ports in it. This is a really nice one. I'll talk about this in another video, but there's a USB-C, a VGA, an HDMI, which I don't need because I can only run a second monitor on here. It has another USB port, a network port, a SD card reader, a micro SD card reader, 3 USB-A ports, and another USB-C port. So this is handling my requirements quite well. I just wish it had extra ports over here, especially when I'm on the go. I'll often have a hard drive and an SSD so I can do backups. So that's going to be kind of a problem when I'm on the road. When I'm here at my desk, everything's connected. I plug one thing in, everything works. But, oh man, come on, Apple. You took 2 USB ports away. It's kind of a bummer. But with the right hub, you can make that work. So if you've been on the fence about getting a new machine and looking at these M1s because they're so inexpensive and they don't have a lot of memory, you might want to think again and do a little bit more research because these are absolutely incredible machines. Now, they're not perfect. They're not the end-all be-all. When you start getting into visual effects with Fusion or advanced features within DaVinci Resolve like deflicker, noise reduction, some of those things that are really, really heavy duty, you're not going to see this huge improvement in performance. Even that said, it's still faster doing those things than it was on my old MacBook. But even though I can play I can edit and color and do all that stuff on 8K footage on here natively, as soon as you start getting into visual effects and some of the advanced compositing, that's when you're going to see a performance hit. Can you get better performance? Well, sure, you can spend thousands of dollars and build a PC that's just going to run circles around this thing. But this machine is under $2,000. And you can get a Mac Mini for $699. So for under 700 bucks, you can have a machine that is an awesome editing and coloring station. It's just not going to be as good as spending thousands of dollars on a high-end machine with a super high-end GPU. But for me, I needed something that I could use at my desk, and I'm on the road a lot, and I want to be able to edit efficiently and quickly when I'm not sitting at a high-end workstation. So now this is my only machine, the MacBook Pro 13-inch M1. So I really think this is something to be looking at unless you do a lot of the higher end features that are going to just require a huge amount of CPU, GPU, or RAM. This is going to be that 90% machine, or for me, this is like a 95, 98% machine, and I can live with that versus my MacBook Pro from before. It just wasn't up to the task. I mean, it wasn't that I could do 50% of my work on it, or it was just slower doing the work. It was not there. I mean, to do visual effects and things was so slow, it just wasn't even worth doing. So now I'm adding more things to the videos I'm doing with motion tracking and noise reduction and other features that I want to use. Even though they're not super fast on here, they're still significantly faster than what they were before, and I didn't drop a tremendous amount of money. So that being said, I'm a huge fan of these new M1 chips. I cannot wait to see what Apple does in the future with their own Apple Silicon. So if you want more on the Mac Mini M1, go check out Filmmaker Central. Like I said, I've done a handful of videos out there. I've shown just how well they work. I've done tests using Fusion with some visual effects that you can easily follow along with at home to compare your existing machine. So check that out at Filmmaker Central. In the meantime, this is Kerry with the new MacBook Pro 13-inch, and I can't wait to dig in and do some more editing. So thanks for watching, everybody. Please like, share, and subscribe because, you know, that's what all YouTubers ask for, right? That's all we care about is those views and subs. Not really. I just like doing content, but I really appreciate you guys hanging in there, and I hope you like what I'm doing on this channel. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.